Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy, but nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings,
And ourselves.
we stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world. He was among us in every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where
talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rev. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
I say it. Rawr.
Oh, it doesn't start till the lion roars.
Haha, you know it.
Hey, you can't be bigger than me.
Well, now we're the same size.
But you're a guitar.
I am, because what's this show about? Uh-huh.
Well, it is about music.
That's right.
And special thanks to Colseth, one of our Patreon supporters. That was a taste from The Elusive More, his album on BandLab. Everybody should check it out. It's a beautiful album that he's made. I went through everything, picked 3 of my favorites, so we got to listen to one at the beginning. We're going to listen to one in the middle. That's my personal favorite. And then we've got one for the end. That's a perfect way to round it out. For those out there who'd like to help support us, you can help us to share the love with you. Check out patreon.com/Angified.
Well, that was a mouthful. Blah.
I got 2 sentences out. I'm on a roll.
Well, I had to be the guitar because the other day I filled Tony's brain with 5,000 picks on a guitar.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next picking night that we cover, that video is going in there because that's a world record.
Yes, it is. Okay, so how do we start tonight's show, Tone?
Well, here I'm going to show you what we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
We're going to be covering music workflow. So we've got some different videos on approach to when you're collabing with someone. You know, not your typical collabs that a lot of the band labbers are used to, but actually like working with different DAWs with different artists, because sometimes you're going to have an engineer who's going to mix. Like me, I will mix in Cakewalk, not in BandLab. So understanding how tracks, stems, moving projects back and forth, it's important. And these videos are going to help to spotlight different tricks to moving stems around, what stems actually are, and actually diving into project collabs where you actually send the projects back and forth. So we're going to see a little bit of everything there.
Very cool.
And we've got a couple of new channels that that great finds. The first one's collaborating with other DAW users. This one's coming from Let's Talk About Reaper.
Okay.
The second one's going to be What Are Stems in Music Production? That one's going to be coming from Stock Music Musician.
Well, our stems,
And
they come from pedals.
And then
flowers, right?
We're going to actually see from one of the best music resources that I found on YouTube, Audio University. He's going to get into what I really want to talk about, and that stems and tracks are not the same thing. And it's important for artists who are going to work with engineers to know this stuff, that a stem and an actual track do require a different approach.
So don't plant your flowers near railroad trains.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And he's fantastic at explaining it. One of my favorite channels of all time. Then we're going to go into how to collaborate with music producers online, because that's part of what this process is kind of about. So Zen World, the evolution of sound, he's going to talk about, like, dealing with these different things online with your engineers and your other musicians. And this one is an interesting solution.
Is that Slither Joe? Is that his cousin?
I know, it could be his younger brother.
There.
But I love his keyboard setup, so I had to snap it right there. This one's coming from Mixup Audio, and he's going to show us a music collaboration system called Mixup, and he's going to show how you can speed up your workflow so that you get your songs done faster. And it's a real interesting solution. It's a little different than some of the things we've looked at in the past.
Oh boy.
And
let's do it.
To finish it off, it's going to be John Sign. He's going to show us some must-have music collaboration apps.
With a must-have.
Yeah,
get out your pens and papers.
So on the first one that we're going to start with, this one's a good introduction into, collaborating with other DAW users. So this is a little different than the collaboration nights we've covered in the past, where we looked more at like BandLab type solutions where you're collabing online with your tracks. This one's more focused on users who actually do use their DAWs to make their tracks, and then work with others who might be using other DAWs. And why I chose this one is he's coming at it from a Reaper approach, which is a great DAW to kind of approach this with. It's a really popular one, and of all the different DAWs that are out there, Reaper is great both on the Windows side, the Mac side, and even in Linux. So I like that he's covering a DAW that will work for any of these users. That's going to be coming from @Let's Talk About Reaper. It's Mike, M-Y-K. How's that? A cool way to spell Mike. And we've looked at his channel before for other Reaper solutions. If you do use Reaper out there, this is a great channel to get tips and tricks from. So he's going to show how he works with other DAW users and integrates both with Reaper and back to the other users.
No. I can't wait to learn all the different things that can be used and all the different music that we're going to learn how to flip around into stems.
And we might even change your strings.
Oh, and the new strings for me guitar. I like it.
It's like changing your mind.
That don't happen too often.
So let's see what Mike has to say about collaborating with other DAW users.
You got it.
About Reaper. Today I'd like to show you how to collaborate with other musicians who might be using other DAWs. When dealing with other Reaper users, we can easily share projects with each other, but when working with projects that originated in another DAW, you may be sent stems that you need to import into Reaper. Let's take a look. I've been sent a zip file from a Pro Tools user, so I'll start by extracting the zip files. Now with the files extracted, I'll start Reaper and create my new project. I'll navigate to the folder where I want to store this project. My default is to create a subdirectory for each project. I'll create a subfolder with the band name. And inside of that folder, I'll create the project. This song is called Stay Away. As I save, it will automatically create the subdirectory for this project. I know from communication with the originator of this project that it's at 184 beats per minute, so I'll go ahead and set that in my project. You can either set that in the BPM indicator in the transport, or you can click on File and Project Settings and set the BPM there. I like to set my time base by default to time. This ensures that if I am wrong about the beats per minute and change the BPM, the imported audio will stay exactly as it was when I imported it. Let's click OK to get out of Project Settings. And before we import any audio, there's one more thing that I'd like to make sure is set. Go to Options, Preferences, and Media. Our first option says when importing multiple media items to prompt user. This will ensure that as we import the stems, we have an option to either place them all on the same line or on their own tracks. Be sure to place a check mark under Copy Imported Media to Project Media Directory. With those two options set, click OK. I'd like to cover one other item that I have set for my project defaults. Be sure to click the link above to see a more in-depth discussion of these settings from John Tidy with Reaper Blog. Go to File and Project Settings, and under the Media tab, I like to make sure that I have a subfolder inside of each project folder that contains all the audio. A relative path here will ensure that this is created in the subfolder for each project. Now that I've got that done, I'm ready to import my audio. I'll open the file browser and navigate to the directory where the files were extracted. Here we have all the stems. I'll select all of those and drag them into Reaper, and we've been prompted as to whether we want to place those on a single track or on separate tracks. I'll choose separate tracks, allow the peaks to build, and if we look in the project directory, we'll see that each of those stems has been imported into that project's audio directory. If there's any drums or transient material in the stems, it's a good idea to check those to verify that everything lines up as it should. Let's zoom in on this E-kick track. And we can see that that transient is lining up with the first beat in a measure, so we should be in good shape. Let's zoom back out, turn down some levels, turn on our metronome, and take a listen to make sure that this is all lining up correctly. That sounds like everything is in line. With the stems imported, now all that I need to do is add my drum tracking template, and I'm ready to get started. We'll revisit this once I've got my drums tracked, and I'll show you how to export those stems and send them back to the Pro Tools user so he can import them into his project. I hope this helps. If you like the content you're seeing, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel further by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee link below. I like coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee.
Oh, I like coffee too, Mike. And that approach, if those of you who do work on Reaper, this is a good way to get started on a project that's coming in that scenario. I like that he mentioned how you set up the BPM. You want to do these things before you get started working on things, because if you go adjusting them afterwards, unless you turn on that setting he mentioned, you can really mess up a track by not setting the proper BPM ahead of time. So it's not something you want to set after the fact. No, the guitar is muted.
It wasn't. That doesn't happen very often. Noise reduction. Ha. Yes. No, I was enjoying that and watching how he easily just grabbed all those stems and just dragged and dropped them right over into Reaper. One easy, simple process.
Yeah, well, Reaper does make it much easier than some of the other DAWs. With Cakewalk, it's a little trickier, and ironically, with Cakewalk, even if I don't have the BPM set properly, it won't modify the tracks after the fact if I change it, because it actually locks them to the BPM. If you do want to modify the tracks, you have to flip that switch on in Cakewalk to do that. With Reaper, it's the opposite. If you don't set the BPM, you import the tracks and then change the BPM, the tracks will either stretch or shrink. So it's a good thing to be aware of that setting.
And make sure you don't get into any vehicles that are BPMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in his example, he was bringing in a Pro Tools stem project into Reaper, which is a common scenario. A lot of engineers out there might be on Reaper or Pro Tools, and you might have to deal with this coming from the other direction. So,
or the Fruity Loops. A lot of artists use Fruity Loops too. Don't forget about that.
Yep, Fruity's another one that's popular in
Did you just call me Fruity? I know I got bright colors behind me, but come on, this is like an IT show, man.
Well, with your logo, you are definitely Fruity.
Oh, let's keep the pink away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me green. So this is Let's Talk About Reaper.
Yep, that came from at Let's Talk About Reaper over on YouTube. Again, for anybody out there who does use Reaper, this is a great resource for Reaper tips and tricks. He covers it all.
Yes.
Great job, Mike.
Please let me know what kind of fabric softener you use. Okay.
So he mentioned stems, and in his project, that's what he was working with. He was being given stems. I liked that the person he was working with included an accent track. Sometimes that will be something that, like, some of the better musicians out there, they'll include a tempo track, an accent track. If they need to, like, make notes of things like that, that's an easy way to understand what they're looking for the hits.
Definitely.
So for those of you who might not be familiar with stems, I mean, you might have heard the term. It's kind of impossible not to hear the term if you work over on BandLab or if you've done any project workflow. But understanding what stems are, the next couple of videos we're going to look at are going to get into details about what they are, how they are part of the workflow, and some good procedures to use to make this workflow even easier.
I can't wait. So let me just ask a quick question. So stems aren't like plants and flowers, right?
For music, yes.
Okay. Excellent.
They are the plants that grow out of the music project, and they're a way of universally moving tracks back and forth. Before stems, it was a lot more difficult to collab the way we do, because you really had to either send the entire project, and you had to have somebody who was using the same DAW. And stems have made life a lot easier when you really want to make sure that what you're sending sounds the way that you might have produced it. Like in the case of
Do you think that made us lazier?
In some cases, maybe, but in most cases, I think it made it easier to what you hear is what you get with stems. So if a singer does use a certain kind of reverb, like with BandLab, a stem ensures that those things that you want to be part of the track, like a certain effect, or with my keyboards, a certain synth sound, the stem ensures that what you're going to hear is what I actually made, including the effects. Now, that can be a good thing, and that can be a bad thing. A lot of engineers don't want wet tracks, and a stem with effects on it, to me, that's a wet track. It's good if I want to use the reverb that you used, but if I plan on using another reverb across the entire project, you can't pull out the reverb afterwards on a stem. So it's a catch-22.
So, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much if you're collaborating into BandLab, make one track with no effects. Duplicate that track and then play around on effects on the track that you duplicated. Just go gung-ho, chop it up, maybe make one part where it's like echoing and dark and kind of creeping behind the music, or just rock it on out on one, or go for a soft approach on one. Really get to learn the track, because I think, and when I was saying, do you think we became lazy with it because back in the day there really wasn't all of this technology, and so band members literally had to perform each of their parts to get it proper before even being able to record, if they were able to record.
Yeah.
And now, like, literally, I can go ahead and I can make something at home and send it to you, or you can make something and send it to Looter, or, we could have great collaborators like Cole Seth.
Yeah. You can also do like I do when I'm grabbing stems from BandLab of an artist's work, especially with the singers. I will grab two versions of the track. I will grab the track as it is with whatever effects that they might have used, any levels that they have it set to, and then I will turn off the effects chain and neutralize the volume so that it's 0, and then I download a dry version of the same track. And that way I get to hear what the artist was trying to do, what they're trying to get out of the effects, if they want that delay. I get to hear both. I hear what they're looking for, and I also have a nice raw track that I can always clean up or use on top of. And that's what I typically do with the vocal tracks. I'll use a little bit of their effect approach, and I'll take the dry version and kind of blend them, so that way the reverb that I end up using on the entire project kind of glues their
And guys,
choices.
don't worry if you lay down a track and it's a one take, like, that could be a lot of fun, because you're going to get some emotion out of that because you were on a roll. So don't let one takes discriminate. Like, yeah, love it, Tony, love it. Embrace the one takers. Even though, like you see, I'll still do 57 different versions and save. But it's all good because I'm learning the song. It's a part of learning the art and really putting in that work.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon that the first take sometimes is the best. So
right?
even if you do a whole bunch of them, sometimes it's that first one where the energy comes in and spontaneity.
Yep.
I'm not against that first take.
That's right.
So this one's going to be coming from @StockMusicMusician, another channel that we've visited before. Again, great advice that comes from him. We've looked at some of the licensing videos that he has, and you can see he talks about BMI and royalty statements. He's got good general music advice across the board. And what he's going to talk about here is what are stems in music production. It's a good introduction into understanding how stems fit into this workflow.
Folks, what's up? It's Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I'm here to answer a question I get all the time. What are stems? So many producers, so many industry people, so many artists, so many everybody is batting around the word stems. Send me your stems. Send me some stems, etc., etc. So in this video, I'm going to answer the question, what are stems? But first, I want to let you know that if you've ever been interested in getting into music licensing, I've got a free 5-day music licensing crash course. You can join down below. Check it out. It'll really help you make more money from your music and maybe even have a little bit of fun and get some placements and then have a need for so many more stems that you'll be coming back to this video time and time again. So let's dive in. The term stems simply means stereo masters. The first 3 letters of stereo, S-T-E, and the first letter of masters, M, stem, stereo masters. And so, as that term is traditionally defined, a stem would be essentially similar to a bus. Let's say if somebody said to send me your drum stem, what I would expect them to mean, and in the most traditional sense of it, would be every individual drum track all summed into one stereo file. So I would only be receiving a stereo file that included all the drums mixed down. Frequently, this term means that all the insert effects that are on the individual drums should be included there. So if you had a compressor on the snare, that would be baked into your drum stem. If you had an EQ on your kick drum, that would be baked in. If you had reverb on your overheads, that would be baked in. And if you had any drum bus processing, like, for example, if you've got some parallel compression going on or some saturation or something, that would also be baked in. So if someone were to then say, send me your stems for this track, you would maybe have a guitar stems with 4 different guitar tracks all summed down. A bass stem, which would really probably just be the bass. The drum stems. And then maybe you'd have vocal stems with all the backing vocals and everything all stacked together, so that if somebody opened these 4 stereo files of stems and left the volume faders at 0, it would sound exactly the same as your song when it left your computer. They wouldn't need any extra plugins or anything. And stems frequently are going to include both the insert effects that go into them, bus processing, and they may or may not include send effects. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're making your stems. Sometimes I've even seen people request the send effects bus. So you can bus all your send effects to another stem. Everybody's different. And so you're probably thinking, but, and you're right, there is a big but, and I'm not going to lie. That's not what so-and-so said stems mean. And that is 100% true. The term stems these days has gone on to mean so many different things to so many different people. Whether it's an artist looking for a track that they want to rap over and they want the stems for it, or it's a mix or mastering engineer that want the stems, or maybe it's a music library that wants the stems. They could be all asking for something very different. So when it comes to figuring out what you need to provide for stems, don't be a dummy. Okay? There's only one smart way of addressing this issue, and that is to ask. Oh, yes, ask whoever it is that needs the stems what it is they want, and be as specific as possible, because everybody has a different meaning of stems just about these days. It's gone from a highly technical term used mainly by mastering engineers to being broadly in the vernacular of musicians and non-musicians and non-engineers and everything. And it basically is a term that has lost most of its meaning. So if somebody says, send me the stems, really be sure to clarify what they want. here's a lot of different examples that I've personally experienced. Some people want the individual multi-track, so like the snare, the bass, the kick, the vocals, all on separate tracks with the inserts printed on those tracks. So like if you did the snare drum, it would have all the compression baked in, but then you could print the send effects separately. So like your room reverb could be a separate channel. I've had other people want all the individual multi-tracks with inserts and send effects printed on that track. They would call that a stem. I wouldn't necessarily, but hey, that's the way the world goes. And in order to get something like that to happen, you may need to solo the individual channel, and that will then flow through all the send effects and basically put it out the back of your computer or out of your bus and print it that way, making sure, perhaps, that your master bus effects are on. Whether or not they want those is another thing you're going to have to ask. Sometimes they want bus processing on your stems. So like you could do a drum stem like we talked about earlier, the real meaning where you've got all the different drum tracks together with the individual insert effects, but then they wouldn't want any bus processing on it. That's what they'd like to do. Or maybe, they want the stems with all the bus processing and master bus processing added. It's a jungle out there, so be sure to ask. And another question that you're going to need to ask is what format do they want the stems in? Do they want waves? Do they want IFs? Do they want MP3s? Probably not. Should it be at 44? Should it be at 48? Should it be at 16 or 24? What naming convention should you use? When it comes to stems, they get really complicated really fast, and you really need to know what they're looking for. So ask. I'm going to sound like a broken record, I know, but again, it comes down to the fact that stems have too many meanings these days. But they still have a ton of benefits, which is why they're so popular and why they become more and more popular actually over the years, which is why I think the term has lost all its meaning. So stems are almost always required for music licensing. If you're getting your song into a library, they're going to want just the drum track, or they're going to want a version with no drums. These are, going to be depending on the library for what exactly they want. Or let's say you do something like Beat Stars. Well, artists may want to have a bunch of different stems that they can manipulate to create new breaks or new hooks or whatever, or drops. It makes sharing songs way easier because whoever you're sharing your song with doesn't have to have any of your plugins, instruments, or effects. They can get all the sounds right in there, and they can go add their own touch to it if they want. It allows mastering engineers to really enhance a song. Many mastering engineers these days do what's called stem mastering. So instead of just having your whole song printed without any master bus effects and them adding basically master bus effects, you might send them 4 or 5 stems in the real meaning of the term that we talked about at the very beginning, and then they can kind of balance and tweak and go in just a little bit to make your mastering pop even more. They also usually charge more for that. It's also a great way to allow your song to be remixed really easily by getting stems. So, you could just send somebody the vocals and they could put their own part on it, or, they could take the drums and do something with it. And it's also good for resampling your own music. Like, let's say you've got a part with like 4 guitars, a stem all put together. You start chopping that up, there might be some really cool stuff in between. So, how do you make stems? This is a really loaded question. The fact of the matter is, every DAW handles making stems differently, and as we've already discussed, the meaning of stems doesn't even exist. So, how you would approach it depends even on the type of stems you need. You need to figure out what type of effects you need to print. You need to figure out if you need sends. You need to figure out if you need master bus processing, if they want individual tracks, all of that. So, first of all, I'm going to say is over the next couple weeks, I'm going to make some videos that are going to teach you how to export stems in Reason and Logic Pro, because those are the 2 DAWs that I use. And if you're watching this after like November 2022, those videos will be in this playlist. But if those aren't one of your DAWs or you're looking at this beforehand, the way I recommend doing it is by figuring out what you need, typing in the name of your DAW, and searching in YouTube. So, for example, how to print send effects in Logic Pro. And that will hopefully answer that question so you can be making professional sounding stems. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to join that free music licensing crash course. And don't forget to check out this next video because it's pretty awesome.
Like, wow, man.
Oh, he likes big butts, and he does not lie. and that was a big butt when he went from like the typical definition of stems to where we are at nowadays. The original goal of the stems was to just kind of group the guitars, the vocals, the drums, and put them all together. And traditional stems still follow that approach. Those of you who fork any of my projects from my Phantom Tonus library, they're all stemmed that way. Like all the guitars are a track, all the drums are a track. That way, if you want to turn off one of those layers, you can just mute them. He got interesting, though, with his butts, because if you are sending to, like, say, an engineer, and they want the send effects, like he mentioned, or they don't want them because they're going to do that, you will do new kinds of stems where you might put your bus mix on a separate stem and the dry mix on a separate stem. And that's an interesting way to get the best of both worlds. So I like his suggestions there. As an engineer, I'd like that kind of stem project versus if I'm a musician who's just adding a track. Traditional stems work great in that case.
Yes, they do. And I like how he's like, yes, like you were saying earlier, how it was just to kind of combine all the instruments at a balanced level and make them sound good and all, you know, not like they're performing live on stage, but that they're in a studio or they're, you know, so they get like a good recording, because that's pretty much what they wanted, was that good recording.
Yeah, and
now,
even if you're sending like your master to get distributed, like he mentioned, if you do send like traditional stems, that makes it easier for them to like adjust levels on, hey, the drums aren't loud enough, or the vocals need to go up a little bit. At least when they're stemmed like that for your master project, then they can smooth it out for SoundCloud or iTunes, and that's a useful thing.
he also made a good point to ask. Ask the producer or the engineer what exactly they're looking for, because that'll help them to also be able to get to know you better and be able to make that collaboration and that piece completely cohesive.
Yes, you
and
should
filled with
ask,
love.
You should ask them those questions he mentioned, especially like what format. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. Like you're sending your tracks to somebody to work on something, you should ask them what they're going to prefer. And 99% of the time, they're going to want waves, because that is the one guaranteed format where there's no file compression. It's uncompressed, it's 44.1 or 48 in some cases, but it is like a raw audio file with no file compression. When he mentioned probably not MP3s, that's a no-no for me. I do not want a compressed MP3 file, because I can't uncompress that audio that got mushed up into an MP3.
Well, see, so if you guys ever forget what Tony wants, just remember Ange has no hands, or else we'd be doing the wave. Woo! Okay, sorry.
But she does have strings.
I do.
So I
and
really
a pretty cool stash.
I really liked his advice overall, all great advice. Another channel that does not steer you wrong, at Stock Music Musician over on YouTube, and check out his licensing videos. There's some great advice there when it comes to how to properly license your music. It's something we cover every once in a while because we have to.
Yes.
So now that we've gotten to see, what stems are and how they play into this workflow, we're going to go to one of the experts on YouTube. Again, one of my favorite resources for everything to do with audio. It is like going to a college when you go to this channel, at Audio University. Best explanations, even when you're dealing with something really technical, something that's hard to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
He is fantastic at explaining it in a way that everybody can understand, from sound physics to procedure, and in this case, what is the difference from stems and tracks. And if you were to ask me, what would I prefer to get? I would prefer to get the original projects that the musicians are working in. So if BandLab makes it easy because you only have to be a part of the project to go get what you need to. So when somebody gives me a BandLab project, all I have to do is be a member of the project to go get what I need. But if they do,
I have to say, Tony, if somebody gives you a project, they probably forked you.
Yeah. It makes it real easy when you've been forked.
Okay, so let's find out the difference between stems and tracks.
If somebody is working, say, in Logic or Pro Tools, that's why I have a virtual machine with every DAW that I need in case if I need to load that original project, I can, because I do have every DAW ready to load these projects, which can be real convenient when you don't want to get into the stem obstacles that they mentioned there. So what we're going to see here is the kind of different workflow from sending stems back and forth to actually working with the same project files in the same DAWs. And there's pluses and minuses to both sides. So you're going to see, he's going to explain the benefits of both sides and the obstacles.
Are you ready?
I was born ready for this.
Well, let's go ahead and head into Audio University.
About stems and tracks in audio production. Many people use these terms interchangeably, but in reality, they're quite different in some cases. In this video, I'll help you understand the difference. If someone says, "Send me the tracks for this song," they probably want the raw recorded files for each individual instrument. That means they want an individual audio file for each track in the session. Kick, snare top, snare bottom, overhead left, overhead right, guitar, lead vocal, background vocal, etc. Every track should be exported as a separate file. If someone plans to mix your existing recordings, they probably want tracks. And while you could theoretically send this person the whole project folder with audio files and a DAW project file, it's probably best to send them tracks instead, because they may not use the same DAW as you, or they may use the same DAW, but they want to structure the session in a template file. This person will receive those track files and drag them into a new session within their DAW. To help ensure the files are properly synchronized once pulled into the session, it's important that all of the audio files are the same length. The DAW will line up the beginning of each file, so if all of the files are the same length, the start and end time should line up perfectly. Because you'll be exporting raw tracks, you'll need to bypass the effects in the session and reset all of the panning and faders to 0. However, you may want to include some plugins if they're essential to the sound. For example, if your guitar sound depends on an amp simulator plugin, you'll probably want to keep the amp simulator plugin in line rather than sending just the DI guitar alone. Or better yet, you might just duplicate the track and send one of each. Most DAWs make exporting tracks very easy and straightforward. In Reaper, you can click File, then Render. This will open up a dialog box. At the top, I'll change the source from Master Mix to Selected Tracks, Stems. As you'll see in a second, this is the same setting you'll use to export stems, so it is kind of confusing. Since you're exporting tracks, we just need to select each individual track in the session. I'll also select the click track in case that's useful for the person I'm sending to. The bound setting can be the entire project, or you can choose time selection and highlight a section of the timeline that you want to export. I'll change the sample rate and bit depth to the desired values, and I'll also select mono. If you have some stereo tracks like drum overheads or stereo keyboard recording, you may want to break those into mono tracks, or you may want to run a separate rendering for those tracks with stereo selected. The goal is to make it easy to recognize each file and to make it as simple as possible for the person on the other end. So let's look at how these rendered files will be labeled. This part is dependent upon personal preference, but I'll go ahead and use these wildcards, which pull information from the session for each file that's being exported. By choosing track number -track -project, each file will be named and sorted in ascending order from top of the session to the bottom. So the kick file will be labeled 01-kick-song title. The snare will be labeled 02-snare-song title, etc. As you can see here, it's now as simple as dragging these files from the folder into a blank DAW session, and the files will be sorted in a relatively predictable way based on the track number rather than the track name. Stems are not individual tracks. Stems are stereo recordings of groups of tracks, such as drums, vocals, and instruments. The specific groupings for your stems are entirely dependent on the situation or any standards you're working within. In addition to being groups of tracks rather than individual tracks, stems are also already mixed. The idea is often that you can edit or adjust the groups or stems to fit sound for picture or to use as tracks in a live performance, though there are infinite possibilities for how stems might be used. On Epidemic Sound, for example, you can download the full mix of any song in the library or download the stems. Then you can choose how loud each section of instruments is in relation to the other to best suit the production you're working on. I highly recommend Epidemic Sound if you use music or sound effects in your work, and I'll leave a link below in case you want to try it out for yourself. When I download the stems for a song and drag them into a blank session, they're the same length and they already contain panning, which is only possible because each stem is a stereo file. Let's look at how you can render similar files for your project. The process for rendering stems is slightly different. First, we need to route the tracks to the appropriate stem groups. If you work with buses in your DAW template, you may already have these groupings, but if not, I'd recommend doing a save as on your session so you can easily revert back to your original session later on. Then you can create a bus for each stem you wish to render and start to group the tracks, either by using bus sends or by dragging and dropping each track into the respective group. I'll create a drum bus track, then I'll highlight all of my individual drum tracks and drag them onto that bus track to create a folder. I can do the same thing with bass and guitar, and the same thing with vocals. Each file rendered will include the effects on the respective tracks and buses. However, this will not include anything on the master bus. For that, you'll need to choose Selected Tracks via Master, which will run each stem group through the master processing one at a time. In most cases though, I think it's best to leave out the master bus processing. The stems will not include any effects returns unless you specifically select those tracks or buses for a separate stem rendering. Even if you do select them though, all of the reverb would be mixed into a single stem, which may not be what you want. If you want to keep reverbs together with the respective stems, i.e. drum reverb with the drum stem, the vocal reverb with the vocal stem, you may choose to use a different method for exporting. Rather than using the selected tracks option, you can choose the master mix option. Then you can solo the things you want to be included in each stem and render. For example, I might solo the vocals in the vocal track and then render for my vocal stem, then solo the drums and the reverb track and render my drum stem. It takes a bit longer to do it this way compared to batching them all together, but you'll need to choose whichever method gives you the stems you need. This topic goes a lot deeper than I've covered here, but hopefully you have a better understanding of what tracks and stems are. Like I said, people often use these terms interchangeably, but there are different ways to export files, so it probably wouldn't hurt to clarify before assuming. In the next video, you'll learn about an essential tip for keeping your sessions organized. Go ahead and click that link right now, and I'll see you there.
Fantastic advice that you get from this channel. I mean, right from the start, like how when you're importing, the importance of the start times being aligned.
Yes.
That's huge. Like you
Yes.
need, you can't be importing a track that starts like 1 minute in along with a track that starts at 0, because that one that's 1 minute in will go to 0 in the export. So
On top of that, the time it takes to move those tracks.
and the
Oh,
precision,
nightmares.
the precision it takes, they don't always snap right to where they need to, and it becomes such a project if things don't start at 0.
Facts.
And you know, he did mention like possibly working with source files, project files, but I like his suggestion of tracks instead of stems, because basically what you're getting there with the tracks is it's kind of like a stem. The difference is it's not mixed, it's not stereo, which most instruments, that if you're dealing with vocals, bass, these are mono instruments. A mono track makes it a lot easier to actually do the mixing than to be getting a bass track that's in stereo when the signal wasn't in stereo originally. So for mixers, the track approach gives you, it's like working with the same DAW without having to work with the same DAW.
That's right. It's like having an acoustic and plug it in and then having like it amplified.
Yeah, and his workflow that his workflow that
you guys catch that? I think Tony needs a helmet. He just yabbed me. So I had to talk a little on Talkin Shhh. Okay.
Well, his workflow that he mentioned at the end, that's my preferred workflow. When it comes to like how you're exporting those tracks, I tend to do the solo approach, and I get the tracks that I do want together using the bus that I want them to be part of, and I solo them, export. Do the same thing, export. It does take a little bit longer, but it allows you to really narrow in on what you're trying to put together into that track file.
Han Solo met Flash Gordon and they created stems. Got it, Tony. I'm learning. I'm getting there. You're either going to be smarter or stupider by the end of the show, and you're welcome.
That's why they shot Guido. So, awesome advice from at Audio University on YouTube. Major recommendation for this channel. I cannot get enough. Yeah, and he really does. He does make a lot of this a lot easier for me. So before we go to our next video, I'd like to give another thanks to our Patreon sponsor tonight. Like, are partly sponsored tonight by Colseth. And for those of you out there who'd like to help us with what we do and the shows that we make, patreon.com/Angified. It's a great way to help us to share the love. And when you do these little spotlights, whether it's a song spotlight on one of our shows, an album spotlight, which I'd love to do with this album that Cole has because it is fantastic. I'm actually going to be playing my favorite track from it. This one, the emotion that he puts into it is just phenomenal. It is, to me, the peak song in the album. It represents his style, and his voice is incredible on this one. So,
I can't.
So
I can't wait. Colseth is amazing. Thank you, brother.
Yep, and all of you, go check him out over on BandLab and check out this album, The Elusive More. He put a lot of work into it. Every song is incredible. But this one in particular, Unraveling, is my personal favorite.
Let's do it.
Assemble your thimble and tailor your ends. Are you still tired?
That was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that was Cole Seth at his best.
Love it, love it.
Yeah, you know, I know he focuses more on like the percussion, and his piano work is incredible, but his singing, I'm just as much in love with his singing as I am with his instrumental approach and his songwriting. Like, he is a master of all.
He is. He is. Yes, he's absolutely amazing artist. If you aren't following him, like seriously, you need to get your brain checked. From his songwriting to his creative structure and melodies, even, you know, coming down to the way he taps in MIDI drums.
That's what blows me away when
And
I
we've seen him
I
do
actually
so
saw
much.
it.
Yes. So, you know, don't take our word for it. Go check him out yourself if, you know, you don't believe us, because, yeah. Helmets required.
Yeah, and when it comes to workflow, what we're talking about tonight, he is such a breeze to work with. Like, you give him a project and he just slides right in. He works with what he got. In some cases, he'll teach you how to work better because he's got a great workflow as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't ask for a better friend, family member, collaborator, and, you know, just somebody that you can totally dig into the music and sit back and chill, listen, and like I said, his creative lyric writing and melody hooks, like, you're hooked. Just saying.
And he finds all he manages to pull it all off while he's got that new little one. And
I could say by being a hubby and a new daddy, you know, and then going back to work and like moving, and yeah, he's had a full year, I'd say.
yeah, and he still manages to shine in
He does.
inspiration.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cole, for all the support.
Yes, thank you.
And for those of you who'd like to get spotlights like that, patreon.com/Angified. Check it out.
Right.
So now we're going to kind of shift over to the collaboration side. You know, all these things we've been talking about with stems, the purpose of understanding all that is to understand the workflow in collaborating with other musicians. So the next couple of videos that we're going to look at are going to focus on, you know, how collaboration really works with music online. And it's more than just BandLab. You know, BandLab is one approach, but we're going to take a look at some different approaches to getting your music back and forth between your other musicians, your producers, your engineers.
Ooh. I know what it is, Tony. It's email.
It used to be, but emails, those WAV files that I like to get, too big for email.
And then you can't zip them because then it compresses it.
Even when you well, you can zip WAV files. They won't compress they're just as big though. Like, you zip a WAV file, if it's 125 megs, the zip file is 125 megs, so it doesn't really
That's a boo-hoo.
help.
I know. You create a Google presentation and send it over that way, right?
If you have enough space in your Google Drive.
Okay. So
fortunately, I do. Yeah, this one's going to be coming from I believe it's at Zen World, the evolution of sound. This is a freshie for me, a new channel that I came across covering the topic, and looking at like the different videos he has. He covers a whole bunch of topics like this.
I like his name, Zen World.
No, he's helping you reach new heights in your music.
I really, really like it.
That's a man on the same mission.
We're gonna learn. Helmets required. Sorry about that.
Yes, I have my helmet on. So he's going to be talking about how to collaborate with music producers online. So this is kind of more targeted towards like you're making your tracks and now you're sending it to the music producer. I think this is a good starting off point for your typical situation that a lot of musicians are going to run into. Like, hey, I've made the music. Now I want to send it to the producer to produce and distribute the music.
So be nice to those producers out there like Dule Chill and Master Yoda G, right? And let's not forget Salvatore Color. And, there's so many more out there. Oh, yeah, Tony, So don't forget the producers when you're like, oh, I made this track. Because the producer's going to be like, okay, but you're going to have to make me another copy. And you're going to sit there and be like, what the heck? I put so much time and energy into it. Well, I guess we're going to learn how to fix that, huh?
Yeah, and you're going to find some of these
Don't
people.
assume. I don't want to be an ass. I'd rather ask.
You're going to find some of these people on BandLab. So this is a good introductory into how to work with them.
My name is Sam World and I create dance music tutorials for you guys to help you achieve your goals. Now, music production is fun, but it can get fairly lonely. So you start hitting people up online, other music producers, but it's worse than Tinder. You can't seem to get a message back. And if you do, it's probably not what you want to hear. However, you break through, you find someone that has some good music and you feel like it's a good fit. They got ideas for your ideas, like Inception, ideas on ideas. But now the problem is that you guys live on separate parts of the world and you want to work on a track live together. You want to get that experience. Well, this is where this video comes into play, as I've been teaching music producers online for about 5 years now, one-on-one, and I've also collaborated utilizing the tools we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, this video is not sponsored, and in all honesty, I wish someone would have made this video a long time ago because a lot of these resources would have been so valuable. But other than that, let's get straight into this, guys, and get you going on how you can collaborate online in a very efficient way. So here's a song I'm currently working on, and let's assume that I have this. And I'm just looking like, I feel like someone could do a better fill and I just can't nail it. So I'm looking to collaborate with someone. So from here, there's a couple of tools that you're going to need. The first one is obviously you need to be able to share your screen, your Ableton screen, with the person you're collaborating with. So the best program that I found to do this has actually been Zoom. So I actually pay $150 a year for Zoom. Now, I feel like you don't need to, but again, if there's some features that you want to access, then again, it's well worth it if you find yourself collaborating a lot or if you're teaching people one-on-one. The investment pays for itself, in my opinion. From there, we're going to just go host a meeting with video on, and I'm just going to allow it, obviously. Allow Zoom to enter my laptop, just like I would let anyone date my daughter in a way. So here we go. You can see my shitty camera here, and I have Zoom. From there, I'm going to go obviously to Ableton, and fairly simple. I feel like this is a very redundant part of the tutorial, but obviously common sense, share your screen. From here, if you have stuff to hide, maybe you didn't clear your history or whatnot, then you can just go, okay, I just want to show live, but I have nothing to hide, so I'll go desktop all the way on it and share it. From there, this is how it's going to look. Okay, and you're going to be able to have someone else's camera here and vice versa. Now, let's assume that you want to share your audio now and you want to make sure they can hear it. So at the bottom left, you have your share sound and optimize for video clip. The optimize for video clip just makes it so that the person can't see themselves. So if they're kind of ugly and they don't want to, then, you can do them a favor or do everyone a favor and just not share by optimize. But for me, I'm going to show myself. I think I look pretty good today. What do you guys think? So we're going to share the sound. Now, as we share the sound, by default, usually your system preferences is going to switch to Zoom audio now. So there's a new audio to use. So all you really have to do now is go into Ableton preferences, switch this to Zoom audio device. The problem here now is that Zoom, the Zoom audio card, as it streams to the person, it's gonna come through in mono. So if I'm trying to teach someone like, I'm gonna talk about stereo imaging, a white sound versus a mono sound, and why you should have white sounds be more detuned versus mono, and why you shouldn't make superly distorted monophonic sounds on the center be wide because it just doesn't fit a mix, blah blah blah. Then that's when it can cause issues, as the person that I'm streaming this to through Zoom is gonna get the audio in mono, and what that means is it's gonna sound like this. So instead of sounding like to them, it's gonna sound like this. So you can see how that might arise issues. So maybe you're trying to get them the most optimal audio quality. So this is where the second tool comes into play. And this one took me a long time, long time to figure out that it existed. The bad thing about this tool is that you do have to pay for it. There is a bit of a subscription fee. You never own it. So that's the bad thing about it. But the good thing, again, is that if you're collabing a lot online and you have students and you're making money, it's worth the investment, and you can always write it off as a business expense, obviously. So that tool is going to be called Listen To, and when you download it, it is going to come in the form of a plugin, which is pretty cool, and it's called Listen To by Audio Movers. So from there, we're just going to pull it to the right and put it on the master channel all the way in the end. From there, you're going to have to log in with your credentials. May that be, MILF Plunger 69 or whatever, and log in, password 1, 2, 3, whatever. From here, once you're logged in, you can start streaming this. So you're going to stream it. You're going to copy that stream link, going to go into your chat here, and you're just going to send it to the beautiful producer that swiped right on you. From there, you can close it. And now when we click on this, it's going to open up a new page, which is going to stream. So what this is doing is it's streaming the audio to a website, I guess, and from there you're going to get optimal quality. So what I'm going to do here is just lower the volume inside of Ableton so you can hear the quality that we're getting with this. Okay, from there, let's just hit play, proving to you that this is the software here. So what you guys are hearing, obviously, is the quality that they're going to get it. I'm running this, I think, fairly kind of low, so I can increase essentially to 320. And that might change it a little bit. But again, depending on your computer and your internet speed, you might decide to go lower with that. Of course, the latency too, you can lower that because there is a bit of latency. I hit play. I'm going to hit play. Okay. But that's going to be the next one to use. From there, we can kind of go here, audiomovers.com. I'm using, I think, an older version of it because they do have this guy here, but you're going to be using Listen To, and it doesn't look as complex as they make it seem on there. But again, it's just going to look like this, and from there, you can kind of fine tune. The important thing, again, is that you do have to pay for it, and that's where it might kind of deviate a lot of people, but knowing that there's a solution out there is amazing. From there, if you're like a tech guy and you feel like you could do this yourself, because I have some students that are in the tech world and they're like, yeah, I made this like little cloud for myself. I'm sure they could probably do something very similar to this where they can stream audio, but that's going to be the other way to kind of do it. From there, Zoom is going to have other cool things where you can have the producer that you're collaborating with obviously be able to control your screen, be able to do a lot of really cool stuff. But again, it's as simple as that, guys. So those are going to be the tools I use to collaborate with people online in a very efficient way where they're getting the optimal audio quality. They can hear everything going on. If they want to, they can control me. If I'm into that sort of stuff and want to be like, dominated, then I can give them access to the mouse. Best way to do it if you want to teach online. Again, this is the way to do it if you're trying to teach mixing or trying to mix someone's song and you want them to hear it in optimal quality. It can get a little, like I said, a bit bad though when you do use listen to, and for one reason. Obviously, when there's two people inside of Zoom, the issue that arises now is that if they're not using headphones and you're not using headphones, you're gonna have a lot of feedback seeping through Zoom. So, and the latency is crap, obviously, so you're gonna have a lot of feedback. So the way to mitigate that is obviously to utilize headphones, put them on. Usually the person that you're streaming to should put them on, and from there, if you have a good mic, then you should be set to go. Other than that, guys, I hope you find this video helpful. Like I said, I wish this video existed. So in review, we are utilizing Zoom in order to share our beautiful faces and our screen. And from there, we're not utilizing the Zoom audio card or the virtual channel that it creates when you share your sound. You're gonna be utilizing Listen To for that. So again, that's something I probably should have said. Just make sure to unclick share sound when you do share your screen, and then make sure you run Listen To from there. And the cool thing about Listen To is now you can run any sound card you want. You don't have to go to Zoom Audio. You can run the one you have, so it sounds optimal, no latency, and I think that's the best way to do it. Other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys next time for another video. Make sure to subscribe, hit like, comment if you found this useful, and peace out.
Oh, I think you
He
should
said
be.
peace out, but don't go nowhere.
And you should be familiar with a lot of what he was talking about there.
Very much so.
That is stuff we go through every night.
Oh, I know. You preaching to the and choir. And ire? Yeah, one of those.
Oh, and you see the importance of checking that stereo box.
Yes. Yes. But at the same time, we have been able to jam and have been able to do it live, and it actually, the latency wasn't bad, the compression wasn't too bad. We just did that, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, well, it gets a little tricky if you're dealing with like guitars or vocals sometimes. If you don't use the like original sound mode or their new beta studio for musicians, Zoom optimized is not the right mode for those kind of instruments. They go in and out because of the Zoom compression.
Yes, and we've also taken notice, like, if we have an acoustic guitarist, how far away they sit can depend on their sound quality coming in and out of Zoom. Ha.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
But that's a good introduction into the Zoom sound experience. And for sharing sound, like if you are going on to Zoom to talk to a producer, you know, show the music and explain like what you want that producer to do, this is a good approach. We agree. We do it all the time.
Yes, we do. To the moon, Tony.
Yep. So that was at Zen World over on YouTube. Freshy channel. Good stuff. We will be back for more.
Thank you, Zen World. You rock.
Yes, I feel at peace. So now we're going to talk about a different kind of a solution that Mixup.audio is going to be showing us. And I believe, that's at Mixup Audio over on YouTube. Again, covering lots and lots of things. And, level, he's using LUs. Maha was asking earlier about different measures of leveling, and I might be back for that because I would like to cover that.
That'd be awesome.
But for this one, he's going to show us a free music collaboration system to speed up your workflow with Mixup.
And don't get it mixed up.
I'm going to try.
What do you mean you're gonna try to get it mixed up?
If I get mixed up, you can untangle me.
Okay, but I think this guy's got us first.
No, he got my attention with his keyboards.
Let's check him out.
Mixup.audio is the missing link in the music making process. Imagine being able to deliver your music to your clients, band members, complete with commenting, level management, revision management, playlists, and more. Imagine saying goodbye to the endless, annoying, and confusing email chains, text, and WhatsApp chains from everyone in your team, giving you feedback on the wrong song or the wrong version of the wrong song. Mixup.audio is a very simple system that solves all these issues. It combines a plugin that is compatible with all DAWs and an online platform. You could use either or both as they are synced up. The plugin is amazing because it lets you manage the entire process of music sharing directly from your DAW, and the web interface lets you manage your library from anywhere you like, including your phone. So this is how it works. Pick a song you want to share and drag and drop the audio file on the very inviting dashboard, and that will immediately create a Mixup audio player. Right away, you can decide whether you want people to be able to download the file or not, if they can make comments or not, and whether you get notifications or not while Mixup uploads the file to the cloud. And that's it. Your music is now securely online and ready to be shared with your team or the world at large. Enter everyone's email address, hit send, and they'll get a classy notification that you just shared music with them. You can also text people a link if you'd like. They can listen in any browser on their computer or phone, and even in their DAW if they download the free Mixup plugin. The truly magical part happens next time you, the creator, reopen your session and all the comments from everyone are right there in your DAW. And because comments can be tied to the timeline, if someone wants you to raise the snare on the chorus, they can position the timeline there at that very spot while listening on their phone and write, "Dude, raise the snare here." The best part is that when you play the song in your DAW, that comment will get highlighted at that moment. Yes, Mixup saves lives. Mixup is also great at managing multiple revisions of the same piece of music. As your projects progress, you need to share updated versions of the same song, mix, production with your team. Mixup lets you centralize all versions in the same player. And you guys can switch between versions in real time without glitches and truly A/B your work. Also a lifesaver. And because most mix or production feedback is usually tainted by level mismatches, louder always feels better to people. Mixup lets you adjust and automatically match LUFS levels across all versions in order to ensure the best listening experience for your clients and the least amount of grief for you. We also have presets for the main streaming platform standards. So now, with Mixup, the loudest song ever will play back at the same level as your unmastered mix, so you can show them who's the boss mixer man. If you are working on multiple songs for the same project, you can organize them into playlists, and all Mixup features work across playlists, including level matching from song to song, which is really, really nice. Before you go crazy and share your entire discography to the whole world, you need to know this. There are two sharing modes in Mixup, Direct Access and VIP Access. Direct Access is the default. You invite people using the control panel, they get an email with a link. They click, and boom, they're looking at the player. They don't have to log in or do anything other than click the link. It's the fast, no-friction way to get your team to use Mixup and for you to get the benefits I just explained. You will soon find out that it makes sharing mixes with Dropbox or email very medieval feeling. If you are feeling skittish and want a slightly higher level of protection, you can lock the player with a password. If you are working on very sensitive material, you can switch to VIP mode. In VIP mode, all guests will be required to create a free account before they can listen to your mix. VIP mode is great for when you work with major artists who don't want anyone with a link to access their work in progress, or if you're just a private guy. So that's Mixup.audio, the missing link in the music making process. An easy, instant music feedback and delivery system with tricks up its sleeve. And you can use it for free too, plugin included. Mixup saves lives.
Mixup saves lives.
Right, I heard that too.
And Anne shares the love.
That's right. So we shared our lives. We saved our lives too, right?
Yeah, and that looks like a
Man, that
interesting
was good
solution
stuff.
for like mixed collaborations, especially when you have different engineers and you want to like get mixing feedback. I'm gonna check that out. I like their approach.
Well, I think we're gonna check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it works at Mixup Audio, straight from the source.
Yes. And he's not mixed up. He's got his facts straight.
Yeah, it seems
So
to.
you better subscribe.
Yeah, I'm gonna peruse more of these videos after the show. I want to see more on this. I like
perusing on Mixup's YouTube channel. Perusing Mr. Tony. Yes.
You know how I am with these plugins.
Yes. Tony, with all the plugins, I'm glad we don't own any stock in Glade.
If Glade would make some musical plugins that make my music smell better, I might invest.
Right? They got like, like you clap on, clap off with like the lights. Wouldn't it be something if you like play music and like your air freshener automatically like triggered out certain scent to like fit that mood?
You
That'd
might
be pretty cool,
on
right?
to something there.
All right, don't tell anybody. It's not AI. It's Ange. Okay.
First, we got to patent it. Then we'll talk to Glade.
All right, guys. We just talking. That's all we're doing here. Don't mind us. Where are we going next, Tone?
Well, to finish things off, we're going to go to @JohnSign over on YouTube, another Freshie channel. And for this one, he's going to be talking about must-have music collaboration app. So he's got something up his sleeve that we must have.
Okay. It looks like he's wearing long sleeves.
I know, he's very suave.
All right. Let's see what he's got up them sleeves.
Yes, what must I have?
I know. It's elbows. That's the answer. Check out, folks.
It's just like a connecting, exchanging, cloud syncing kind of point, which I really love.
You said run. There's monsters hiding in your bed.
Just arrived at the studio. It's one of these days, one of these rainy, cloudy, foggy kind of days. I personally absolutely love them. Just cause this way I don't feel so bad about staying inside for the entire day. And today there's a lot happening. Working on a new song, collaborating, there is a lot to share about it, and I hope you'll like it. So today, continuing working with Salvo, LA-based singer-songwriter. We already made a song together, the one you just heard in the intro. It's called Secrets, I think like a year ago. So it's time for a follow-up, another song, another year. And we've been going back and forth a little, which is due to COVID a little annoying. Usually when I write songs, I love to do it in person, in a session, me, a singer-songwriter, going back and forth, creative ideas, producing. Like there's a ton of fun stuff happening, also a ton of crap, but then it's about selecting the good stuff. But due to COVID, we have to do it in probably the most inconvenient way ever. Actually, on Instagram, writing back and forth. So I'm getting, for example, a bit like this.
All right, here it goes. So baby, tell me what to do now. I'll be your devil under the sheets. Don't be afraid to turn the lights down.
It's a really promising track. But yeah, she sings something to the instrumental, sends me the lyrics, and then I'm like, hey, maybe change this, that, and then she's like, yeah, okay, but could you change something like here and that, and the arrangement, and move a part here, over there? That's kind of very, very frustrating to do over Instagram. And since we're like, the time zones are entirely different, like finding the time to have a call, a Skype call, Zoom call, whatever, is kind of not really possible. Usually once I'm back home, her day kind of starts. It's, I think, like an 8, 9, 10 hour delay. It's annoying. So I was looking for something where we can collaborate, and there is actually something like a new app, a new plugin that helps you to solve exactly that problem across multiple DAWs. So no matter what kind of system, program, or whatever the other person is using, it still manages to like get everything synced. Let me demo it to you really quick so you know what I'm talking about. So basically I just put it on my master. Let's search for it. Beat Connect, yes. Log in really quick. That's like the core of it. It's a DAW within your DAW, basically. So that's how it's working on every kind of system and every other kind of DAW. It's a normal VST AU that you just like install. And you can already see it's a tiny version of your actual DAW. And what's really nice, I always have it like on the master. I just can go in here, loop up a section, let's say the kick. Please don't judge anything in the song. It's extremely rough. Like that's the first draft I did like in 10 minutes and sent over to the singer and songwriter. So let's solo, for example, just the kick and hit record when played. I think that's enough. It's a very shitty kick, but again, this is like the very first draft. It will sound good eventually. In a month or 2 or 3. It just takes a lot of time. I copied down the kick. Now we got like a couple of bars of kick. That's fine and nice. Let's now record the chords really quick into another track. Also here, record when played. The kicks do not loop like perfectly, but that's like, it's totally fine. It's just like for getting creative stuff and share it with other people. Let's also record the bass line really quick. So now basically we transfer those 3 tracks by recording them right in there into this little mini DAW. And now comes the crazy part, or like the genius part. I can invite someone and I can make this project, this studio, this file, I can share it with someone else and it syncs automatically. It's like a Google Docs kind of thing where anyone can access it that you give access to, can add things, move things around, change things. And it's brilliant because now a singer-songwriter can sing to it. If they need more bars, if they need a part where there is no synthesizer, no chords, because they need more space for their vocal, or they want to add some crazy guitar bits, or whatever they want to do, they can do it. They just record it right in there, and it's automatically synced. I can then listen to it and take any of these bits and put it back into my DAW, and this way construct a song. Then I could also record again an entire section, not just individual parts. Maybe the singer just needs kick and bass separated from the chords, and I can send those 2 in there. So it's like the perfect link in between any kind of DAW, and kind of the link between all DAWs to make them more collaborative. It's really hard to, like, let's say I'm working on Logic, I save the file, send it over, someone else doesn't have Logic. Even if they have Logic, it's very unlikely that they will have all of the same plugins, and even then, things just go wrong, different versions and stuff. It's impossible. So by recording it to audio, you give access to someone else to it, and it's way more convenient than just having folders, because here you can arrange it already, work on it together, interchange, move parts. It's really like, it's fantastic. And as far as I know, this app is very new. It's perfect for these COVID kind of times. And I hope they will like keep on. I'm sure they will keep on developing. I even heard some rumors there might be added video, chatting, writing notes down, all that kind of stuff that would really take it to the next level. But now let's actually save it, let it sync to the cloud, invite someone else. I don't know if the singer-songwriter, if she will be in time ready for this, because again, there's a huge time delay. I might only be able to share it tomorrow. But I also have someone that is interested to play a guitar to it, or play maybe an arpeggiator, a melody. There is like a friend of mine I usually work with. He maybe has like a creative idea to take this to the next level. Let's see. In the meantime, just working on a bunch of other songs. It's now very, very late, very productive day. And I just opened up BeatConnect again, and there it is. Magically, there is something that appeared, so we can just like click play and listen to it.
So baby, tell me what to do now. I'll be your savior under this.
So yeah, we got the entire first part of the vocal, the verse, the chorus. Nothing on the drop yet. I still need to build a drop and like refine all of the sounds, but it's working. You can go like back and forth. I actually received this not from Salvo Surf, like there was someone else involved to like edit the vocal in between. So yeah, I can now start working. I can just like go in here, take that vocal bit and just drag it into Logic, and there I have it, like full quality, the entire vocal on its own. I can now directly mix it into my session. So that little DAW in between is just like a connecting, exchanging, cloud syncing kind of point, which I really love. I can't wait for it to like grow as an app, like having some sort or form of like FaceTime Zoom in there would be so amazing, to see the other person, maybe play the guitar live to them, they sing, then record, then exchange. This would add a lot of notes and all that kind of stuff, but I'm really looking forward to try out this even more. And I think it would be also a great tool to try out something I wanted to do already for years. And that is like me starting a song and then you guys getting access to it and then changing it, adding parts, and then me again adding, changing. So we all collectively work on a song together. This could be fun, could be good, incredible, or just absolute trash, but definitely a whole lot of fun. Let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll organize it and make sure you can have access to my group. If you're interested to check out this program, again, I'll just link it down below. Go check it out. I think like the first month is entirely for free. Use this time wisely while you're stuck at home. Make music, get collaborative, go out. No, don't go out. It's not really possible, but like get connected to other people and start working with them together. I can't wait to continue working on the song. I got now, since today, my girlfriend is watching some bullshit on TV. I got like 4 more hours. I will work on this as much as possible and play you the result in the outro.
Bad dreams.
Oh, thank God for bullshit on TV. Otherwise, we'd never have any time to make tunes, huh?
Facts. I really was enjoying that, and that was a killer track.
And that looks like a very interesting solution for some of the things we try to do sometimes.
Yes.
And where Zoom doesn't necessarily fit in, I love the idea of a plugin that's a bridge DAW to your different DAWs. I definitely am going to see how this works. And that's what I did. I brought up beatconnect.com because I'm going to download it for this weekend to test it out. I really want to see how it works cross DAWs. I'm going to put Reaper on one machine, Cakewalk on another, and see how the workflow flows.
Well, it flows.
Yeah, and this is very different than a lot of the other collaboration tools that we've looked at. using the plug-in approach the way they are, very smart. It's almost like gaming for musicians.
Oh, yeah. Get lost in the beat.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a interesting test this weekend. So at John Sign, awesome recommendation there. You've piqued my interest. I will peruse this too.
Tony's a perusing the YouTube. Tony perusing the YouTube. Okay.
I'm peaked. I'm peaked. So that was a good look into, a different type of collabing. I know everybody's so used to BandLab, but what we looked at tonight kind of takes it out the BandLab box and brings it into your own boxes and software. And I love the tips that we saw tonight.
Yeah, and I think I want to collab with John Sign.
You hear that, John?
Yay!
You got a guitar.
That's all right. And I ain't trying to string you along.
You so funny.
Well, it is Talkin Shhh I.T.
Yeah, and we with the new intro, this is technically kind of like season 4.5. We're halfway through, but we've got some new formats and ideas. As you see, like our Patreon supporters, we're going to be doing some spotlights, some showcases. Tonight's show was partly sponsored by Colseth. Thanks to his support, it helps us to share the love.
And if you've been watching the shows for Whip It Out Wednesday, you've noticed we've had some poets and authors in giving some reviews. If you'd like to have a review, we are accepting $10 donations. And at the end of the show, if you donate during the show to have your song reviewed, there might be a little pot just for you.
Oh, I could use some pot.
Not that kind of pot.
Well, you have to specify.
Part of the money that is donated in will go back to you, the artist. So, yay!
Oh, and the poetry, I think, is going to be a fun addition to our content. Tomorrow, in fact, we're going to be looking at who was it? Not Evolution. What was his name? He was on last night.
Yes, and I'm having a hard time remembering too. I'm a guitar. My brain kind of like left when I became a guitar and not human.
Well, I'm going to be grabbing his video and getting that set up for tomorrow night. And
He was amazing, though. Like, he had some great feedback, and I can't wait to hear more from him. His knowledge, not only as a poet and author, but as a producer. You better stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, he definitely had skills on both sides there.
That's right. That's right. And an exclusive interview with Kamilski 8000.
Oh, Kamilski's coming out tomorrow night, huh?
Yes. Make sure you come check us out.
9
She
p.m.
is
Eastern.
Awesome. And you'll go ahead and find out what her inspiration was, or who her inspiration was to do what she does.
Now, I'm guessing there's
Love
going to be a
you.
lot of grunge.
9 p.m. tomorrow night, guys.
So we're going to finish off with another track from Colseth's album, and we'll go into our outro, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 9.
And all you got to do to be a sponsor to get featured like this on our shows is subscribe to our Patreon. $5 a month helps support us in what we do, and we share the love right back with you.
Yeah, 1 Starbucks coffee. And you can be seen, be heard, and be original.
That's right. Bring. Oh no, that's a phone that guitar.
Yeah, you gotta strum the bring.
Okay.
That felt strummy.
Okay. Yay! This is Talkin Shhh I.T.
Well, now it's Talkin Shhh I.T. I got a beat. Night, everyone.
Good night. Sleep tight.
Sorry, I've been distant. It's just I've had some thinking to do. And I know that you've been missing me just as much as I'm missing you. I love for myself and where you go, I will follow you. Yes, I love for myself. Now go. You take my soul eternally. Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can, yeah. Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can. Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can, yeah. If you catch me, I will grow with you If you catch me, I will grow with you I notice that you are weary, but why are you having second thoughts? I see why now, why you love me. And it's the most endearing part. And still I offer myself to you. If you choose, I will bloom. I know I shouldn't put it on you like that. 'Cause who am I to deny myself a chance to grow? Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can, yeah. Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can. Catch me if you can, Lord, if you can, yeah. If you catch me, I will grow with you If you catch me, I will grow with you Workstations and music tools, we explore theory, gear in 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin' IT. some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking
I'm gonna spread love or hate. I'm gonna spread love.